it's been 591 days now. And so,
Nice.
yeah, I think I like myself more now. And I am more present. I'm a better version of myself to me. And I think my friends see that too. So that's like in my family. And that's worth giving that up.
Yo, I'm Bryce the Third.
And I'm Liz McKean.
And you are now tuned in to the Rise, Recover, Live podcast. Here we dive into all the recovery stories from around the world.
And we talk about all pathways because there's no one right way to recover.
If you've been with us for a while, you know how powerful stories are. So get ready for your community to get just a little bigger today.
We are so glad that you're here. Let's get into the show.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to the podcast where this is the new intro where we no longer talk about how awkward it is to get the show started because we have the intro baked into the front. We're getting used to it, sinking into, getting it's like the comfy couch of season 2, just like I'm starting to get my butt imprint into it, you know, the way we're moving now. Liz,
we
what's
went
up?
A whole season and then some without butt imprint coming into the conversation, and here we are.
Well, that's where we're at now with it. Liz, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling, gosh, how am I feeling? I think I'm feeling busy. I think this might be the first time today that I've actually thought about how I'm feeling. A little hungry and a little busy, but otherwise pretty happy. Excited to be here. How about you?
I am pretty good. The sun is shining. It smells like fall. Tyler, the Creator, just dropped a new single. My son shared that with me. That's exciting. He's about to drop an album. Yeah, man, I'm excited, creative, and I'm excited to talk to our guest today, whose single I just had on repeat. Mm-hmm. I'm always excited to get musicians on the show, especially where music and recovery and sobriety tend to intersect. So, Liz, who do we have here today?
Well, the person whose voice has also been in my earbuds today, and I had a smile on my face the whole time. So today we have Josh Lovelace, who is a singer, songwriter, and musician. He's best known as the keyboardist for the Grammy-nominated rock band Need to Breathe. He steps out on his own with his latest solo release, Shelters, which we're very excited about, which will be available October 25th. So by the time you're hearing this, it is out there. You're going to have to go get it. This album promises to be a beacon of warmth and hope. You can dive into the first single, Miracles, which is now streaming everywhere. And Americana Highways hails it as a voice of reason piercing through the haze. Look at them trying to be all musical, even in the review. And in addition to being a singer and songwriter, Josh also performs, all the instruments: piano, keyboard, drums, guitar, bass, accordion, organ, and banjo. And we have him here today at the end of his year-long tour. We're so lucky and grateful. And welcome, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, what an intro. Thank you.
That's so kind.
No, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, that's the podcast. So thank you all for listening, because that's such a. Is there an instrument you don't play? Do you play the cowbell or what?
I've been known to play the cowbell every now and then. Somebody told me when I was really young, I wanted to know how to get into music. And somebody said, just learn how to play a little bit on as many as you can, because you never know who's going to call for whatever instrument. So I kind of used that to my advantage, and luckily found the band that needed a piano player, which was the main instrument that I could play. But yeah, I just kind of figured it out along the way. But every now and then the cowbell does make an appearance. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. It has, because I was reading some of the stuff that was sent over, and I think you know how to get like super artistic, and it's like ever since birth, Josh Lovelace has been interested. But how long has it been? Has it been since you were born that you've been excited about music?
Yeah, since day one, I was just sitting at the piano, and it was pretty early on, not day one. When I was really little, we had a piano at our house, and so I'd sit around and just bang on the piano. And I have videos of me when I was really little, like trying to figure out and as a grown up now, I can actually listen to it and be like, oh, I think I can kind of see what he was trying to do in that moment. So definitely from very young, I was into music, and always wanted to do this. This is all I've ever wanted to do. And the fact that I get to do it, I've got to do it for so many years, is really like it's a dream. and true, for sure.
Nah, that's amazing. When you talk about being a kid and having a piano in front of you and trying to hammer out what you're trying to play, it reminds me of how much music is kind of like a language, and just like how we learn to talk or learn to walk, like learning how to communicate in this language of music, and all of the experiences that come with it is a process. And I'm curious to like what that process looked like for you when you were coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely found music early on to be an escape, but also just it's almost like therapy for me, even though I didn't really know what therapy was as a child. Like I could put on a record, depending on how I was feeling. If I was feeling, sad, I could put on movie soundtrack or something that was, epic and made me feel a certain way. Or if it was, if I was angry, I'd put on rock music or whatever it was. And so that over time, even today, I feel like I have used music to accent however I'm feeling or to help me through something. Um, it's always been like a thing that for me has been like a best friend. So it's like the thing I'd always been able to call on when I needed it or when I just wanted it. It's been something that I've always come close.
Mm.
Well,
Uh,
that sounds like the thing that I feel like so many of us think, this is our recovery podcast here. Just the first thing I think of when you describe it that way, it's like, that's the thing I wanted to get from something else, from like alcohol. That's what I was hoping to get, like something that felt like a best friend. I thought that's what it was for a long time. I wanted to either feel different or like amplify how I was feeling. And like, it's been cool in recovery to find things like music. Like I'm not a musician myself, but even just, listening to your music today, which was like the most fun podcast, homework ever, to like be like, oh my gosh, this is like making me feel so good, and to have that and not need, anything else is just a gift. So to be a person that not only has that you can enjoy, but also that you can give to other people, like what a gift. I'm so glad you can do it too. And that's gotta be a cool feeling.
and
Yeah.
that's like one of them things too, where it's like best friends are dope, but like I don't always want to work with my best friend, because then it's like now you
Ouch.
mixing.
Ouch.
Right.
Sometimes you get an opportunity to where things really sync up, but other times, like with work comes pressure. With work comes the pressure to perform, literally and figuratively, and like monetarily, especially when it comes to music. So uh, I'm curious, like, what has that, because it's one thing to play in a house because you love it and you love to express this way. It's another thing to go outside and share your music and almost do it, professionally, where you're starting to play with bands.
Yeah.
So what is that
Yeah.
balance like for you?
Yeah. Early on, it was definitely like as a kid, a lot of my friends, and I loved sports, but I was never very good at them. I never really took the time to really try to get good at it. When my friends were out playing baseball or whatever, I would be in my room listening to records or learning how to play something. And that was just kind of my thing. But I think even now, I feel like has been something that, as I've chosen it as a profession, is something that I do every day. Um, I do feel like I have to remind myself to be in the moment. Like we're playing a show, like we just did a major tour where we played over 100 shows in a year. So it could get really stale if I didn't allow myself to stop and be like, okay, just think about what you're actually getting to do right now. Like the 10-year-old that you were would be flipping out if they could see what you've became now almost 40 years into your life. So I think it's just being present and also just kind of like as we're I'm sure we'll talk more, but for me, if there was a moment where I wasn't as present and I kind of like allowed myself to you know just to drink and where I just was, I couldn't really like appreciate the moments as much as I wanted to. We would play these massive shows and big arenas and like Red Rocks and all these different places. And then looking back, I was like, I don't remember the details. And that was a
Mm,
bummer to me. So for me, like I've definitely like had to, because it is my job and it's also my first love, to try to figure out ways to just you remember what I'm doing in the moment helps me, appreciate both sides of the coin. Yes.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. I mean, I think that's it's a good jumping off point to dig into like your personal story and your relationship with, because we all know when it comes to music, like a big part of the venues that we get booked by, like they go off the drink sales, and a lot of live music like coincides with the drinking, and as an artist, oftentimes fans will try to buy you a drink, or it's just a part of the culture. And so when you say that you had those moments of like not being present, how did you get to that space where you felt like you weren't there, or you didn't remember those nights? Like, what led you there?
Yeah. For me, and everybody's story is very different, I guess. But like for me, I think it was my kids. It was the thing that really
Mm,
made me um, aware more, where I would, um, just the pressure of like, I might have a glass of wine or two, and then the kids are in bed, and then if they need me or something, and I'm like not all there, it's like, but how
Mm.
selfish was I in that moment? And I would beat myself up over. But I also like, I think being in a rock band, it's just accessible. It's easy to get, and I think that um, I don't know. I just I allowed myself to um, be okay without having self control. I was like, well, if we're safe, we're fine. And I just kind of lost myself in that. I was very fortunate that my I don't believe that my drinking necessarily like um, it could have gotten way worse. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to like kind of take a step back when I did. Man, we meet people all the time that, this job is a hard job and it looks fun. And it is fun, but it's also a social pressure. It's definitely like,
mm,
you're just like all the time have to be, whether you're on stage or not, you're on stage all the time. So like you always
mm-hmm.
have to feel like you are, performing. And that's a hard balance to do when really most of us are pretty boring people. We're just like normal people, but we have to present this version of ourselves all the time. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure. So that's true that plays into that. At least it did.
Were there any like specific moments, or like any stories that you'd be willing to share that you had that was like, oh wait, this is kind of getting out of control, this is getting out of hand?
Um, I think I don't know if there was a specific moment. It was definitely like, um, the last 4 or 5 years, during the pandemic, my anxiety just like went through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to figure out like what was going on, because I go to doctors and I'd be like, something's weird. Like I don't feel right. I feel like I'm hazy all the time and I can't find my my sensor. Um, and
Mm,
so I tried different medications, different things like that. And that was honestly the beginning of for me, like to decide to stop drinking was, I want to find a baseline of what it is that, where I can figure out what's going on. And so for 4 or 5 years, it was just a constant like, let's try this thing or let's try this, doctor or whatever. And then it would just never work. And then I'd be like, okay, well, I'm just going to start reading again. That's because I had
Mm-hmm.
a
mm,
little,
Because that works
yeah. And
every
then I
time. I
felt
mean,
better. I was like, oh, well, I
yeah,
can, do that.
yeah,
So for me, I think that this, the last, my last, it's been 591 days now. And so,
Nice.
yeah, I think, and so for me, I realize, I guess, more now that it was something that I was luckily able to give up. And it's for me now, looking at it, it's worth sticking with it. I'm like, I like myself more now. And I am more present. I feel like I'm a better version of myself to me. And I think my friends see that too. So that's like in my family, and that's worth giving that up.
Nice.
I love that. And it's in your "I Stopped Drinking Yesterday" song. One of the things that kind of struck me was that, well, a couple of things. You had said that like it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not necessarily going to be the short term, like you're going for the long term.
Yeah.
And then also, I think like within the same song, at one point, you're saying like, "Am I okay? Like, am I okay?" Which I ask about a dozen times a day. And then also at one point, you were like, "I'm okay." And I feel like that was just like, in summation, that is recovery for me, like the whole, it's marathon, not a sprint, keeping that in mind, because sometimes I'm going to be like, am I okay? And not have that like easy button to, not have to think about it.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, be able to lay my head on the pillow and be like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And like that in itself is a gift, and it's not, big and loud and fancy and like, it's just normal. It's like that boring individual kind of thing that you were talking about, that honestly, like, I don't know, I like some excitement in my life, but for the most part, like, I need that baseline to be that center, to be that, like, everything's okay at the end of the day. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how that's what I was getting from your song that made me feel very seen.
Probably. That's awesome. Yeah. I think for me, that was it. And the marathon, not a sprint, was then decide, like, I keep trying, and then I pick it back up. I try to stop again, and to kind of give myself a little grace in that, because just kind of like figure it out. It's like, we're not necessarily like given an instruction manual on how to be the best versions of ourselves. We're all doing our very best, and so for me, I just had to kind of go through that, kind of go through the steps and figure out what's the next. And I'm another thing that makes me feel more like myself. And in the song, it says, the last verse, or it even says, like, I stopped drinking yesterday, but I just poured a glass of Cabernet. Because it's like, I stopped, and then I did it again. But you know what? I'm okay. I let those words start in. And I think that for me, there was a lot of, I had to like forgive myself a little bit for just, just all kinds of stuff in my life that um, I'm just this shame of, I was a pastor's kid, something like, so I grew up with this, just always feeling like I'm either not good enough or I'm better than everybody else. And so just like this, and I was young, and I was like, I don't know who I am. I'm trying to figure it out. So the giving yourself permission to figure it out, I think, is important. At least it has been for me in my prequels.
No, yeah, that's essential work when it comes to I choose my words wisely, because I want to say achieving, but recovery is definitely something that you don't achieve. It's something that you show up every day, assess what it is that we need in this day, and work to practice it. And also, I'm not the recovery police, so that's just the way that I do it. But I'm curious, because I know, like, I've done a lot of traveling within these past 3 years. I'm an artist too. It was always a dream of mine to like go on tour and take my music around the country, maybe internationally. And now I'm like, I might be what's his name, Mac DeMarco. He's like, I don't tour. Eminem doesn't tour, So I'm like working with music in a way where it's like, maybe I don't tour, because maybe that's not exactly what I want right now. But you say that you just got back off a tour for an entire year, and you also said that you're a father, and that's one big thing for me too, where it's like, I got kids, I can't be away too long. My daughter got dance class, So like, what tools and support and practices did you take with you on tour for an entire year that allowed for you to maintain that practice of showing up for yourself in this way?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. And I'm still figuring it out. I mean, I've got two young kids, they're 10 and 7. And, well, you know, we're fortunate. Our tour, it was a full year. There's my wife. Hi. Um, She's bringing me my charger because when I moved locations, my battery was starting to go down. So I'll revisit that question. Just like, where we actually put this at.
Take your time.
Like, no live.
Behind the scenes.
Right,
Yeah, no, it's totally
right.
We all love a partner that can read our mind and our battery status.
Exactly. I literally was like, I texted her, I was like, I need help.
Aw.
She's the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll restart that. Yeah, it's hard. It's a balancing act for sure. Like we were gone for a year and off and on. We toured. Then we did over 100 shows in the calendar year. So I think that my kids are starting to figure out what it is I do for a job. I think for a little while they would come and they knew I traveled and they knew I played music, but now I think that they're starting to get that it's a big deal. Like they come to shows and they're like, oh, there's a lot of people here. This is kind of wild, and I think they think it's cool. I hope they think it's cool. And but it's the balance of that person that they see and then the person that they see on FaceTime every day, or trying to make sure that they know that I want to play with him, even though I have things going on. Like it's a balance that I'm not the best at, but I am really I really want to be as present as I can, even though I'm not very present sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try to, like, my daughter loves to read it, tell her stories before bed. So I'll try my best before, if it works out with our schedule, unless it's like right at the beginning of our show or something, I'll try to do that. And then, try to spend some time with my son and it's tough. It's a tough thing, and it's a sacrifice that they made as much as I made. But I do feel like the thing that is fun is like right now, like actually literally today, and on our calendar for the next year is like 3 shows right now. So like they know, like, okay, Den's like actually home, which is really, really nice. And I'm able to, spend the time and do things that is just kind of, one-on-one time, or just things that I wouldn't normally get to do, which is cool.
And then a TikToker makes a TikTok out of I stopped drinking yesterday, and then it blows up, and now you're on tour every day of the year for the next 13 years.
Oh my God.
Let's make it happen. But I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like I with music, like our band and this record that I did, like I've always wanted it to do well because I wanted to connect with people. Like I do want, the measure of success doesn't matter to someone, and it doesn't matter if it matters to a lot of people, but it doesn't matter to someone. And so it is a balancing act sometimes, because you're like, man, I wish this thing would take off. And then you're like, if this thing takes off, I'm going to be even busy, and so it's like, it is the balance of it. But I also I'm just thankful to be in the game, just like to be able to do stuff from that. And our band was this way, and this record for me is this way. It's like, I'm writing songs, and we write songs that matter to us. And we're so lucky and fortunate that it matters to other people. Like I'm thankful that I'm not in a band that just makes a lot of noise and tries to write something that's going to make you dance all the time. It's like, hopefully we make stuff that makes you think, and also just, brings you to a place of feeling safe and seen and heard, and all the things that, we try to do when we write songs. So it is a balancing act.
That is a wonderful segue, because I'm interested in, obviously with a single like I Stopped Drinking Yesterday, there is a relationship that your actual experience has into your songwriting process. When I got sober, I actually thought I wasn't going to be able to do music anymore. I thought that all of my creative juices were all of the things that I ingested, that I was drinking and using, and that's where I got my creative energy from, and that it was just a wrap for me. But I actually ended up it being the opposite, where it's like, oh, I've never had a relationship with music,
Yeah.
like, and now I can have a relationship with the music, and
Yeah.
there's so much that I'm able to put into my music from my experience, but also like, bro, the experience of other people and other places, and not like I go outside and the grass will inspire me.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with the creativity and like the creative process behind it, and how does your recovery or sobriety like impact that process for you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel way more awake to the things around me. So like as a lot of songwriters will do this, but they'll have their, their voice memo or their phone line that's just full of songs or like, just humming into your phone. I feel like I'm doing that a lot more now because I'm just aware of like looking
Mm,
around and I'll see something or a car will drive by at a certain pitch and I'll be like, oh, that sounds like this could be, whatever. I feel like I'm listening more, which is good. And I also I really do love the creative process. I feel like for a long time, there was a lot of people, and maybe it still is, but a lot of people were like, in order to be creative, you have to be on something, or you have to be drinking, you have to lose yourself in order to find something. And most of the time, it ends up being a jumbled up mess that sober minded. The next day, you have to figure out what you were actually trying to say. So, for me, like I enjoy just kind of skipping that step and just like really just taking a second, breathing, and like being like, what is, what is happening around me right now, and what inspires me about it? How can I look at it from a different angle? And I feel like now I'm more aware of that other angle. It's not just one
mm,
dimensional. It's like, oh, I can, I'm gonna write a song about, you know, this about my car. Instead of writing a song about the way it looks on the outside, I will write how it looks, from my kid who's sitting in the back seat, who's can't
mm,
drive the car, or like that perspective of it or whatever. That maybe I would just allow myself to take the easy way out if I wasn't all the way there. So for
mm,
me, it's been a game changer, and it's made it more fun than ever to create. And this record was that like I didn't know sing it by myself. So like a lot of it I did in hotel rooms and I have a small studio here in Tennessee. Well, and had some friends play on it. But for the most part it's just me exploring and kind of being okay with telling myself like it's okay to explore these things. Even if they're tough. Like
mm,
I'm happy that everything I put on the record, I know I put it on the record. Like there's not going to be a day where I look back and be like, I don't remember that, or I don't remember that I had that. Like now, I actually am like, these are some tough things to talk about, but I'm fully 100% here to talk about it and not, um, I feel like I've been a part of things where you look back and you're like, oh man, I don't even remember having that mindset or that thought pattern or whatever because I was just not all the way present. And now it's nice to fully own your story
Mm,
and be okay with it, with sharing it with people.
mm,
I love that. One thing that I remember seeing is that the name shelters, plural, is
Mhm.
meaningful as opposed to just shelter.
Yeah.
If I try to pull that out of my brain, it's going to come out not nearly as beautiful as I'm sure you
Oh,
can describe it. Do you mind talking about
yeah,
that a
of
little bit?
course. Yeah. And so I actually thought about calling the record Shelter for a lot of reasons. Um, when you're going through a season of, anxiety and depression and all this stuff that's like coming at you, you just sometimes you just want to wish you could find a place to just like rest for a minute and know like the walls they're not going to close and you're just going to be there for a minute. And so shelter to me made a lot of sense. Like it feels like it encompasses the thing. It like it protects it. And it's like all these songs are kind of inside of this thing. Um, but then more I thought about it, like, growing up as a pastor's kid, there were, we were, you were taught, and well-meaning, and that they meant well when they did it. They were taught that there's only one way to fix yourself. Like if you're having a hard time, you mean to just do ABC, whatever it is, I think you'll be fine. And for me, I just I had a hard time as I've gotten older, just kind of buying that completely. Like I have found a lot of um, help in the things I believe in, but I've also found a lot of help in my neighbor, or my a movie that I watched that I was just like, oh, this made me think, and I just I want to do life differently now that I've watched this or I heard this song. There's so many different things that became shelters for me in a lot of ways. And so that's why I call it shelters of the world, because I don't necessarily think that you can just with anything be like, you're sick, you need this medicine. Well, maybe, but there maybe you may need some other help, and also like to know like if this body is my shelter, like I can't do it by myself. I need other people. So it's also plural in that way. Like, I'm not, I don't have all the answers. And even if I wanted to, you know, do life by myself, I couldn't. I need people around me. I need my family, I need friends. Or we just need each other. And like, it's so crazy. Like, the world is such a weird place right now. And it's like, but the baseline of it is, man, we really do need one another to make this thing work. And so that's why shelters made a lot of sense to me. And it has a lot of meaning in that way, because it is, um, it's more than just one thing. It's got to be more than one thing, because we're all different. We're all different humans. We have different experiences. So it made a lot of sense to me.
I love that. Yeah. Ugh. What's it been like sharing that? What's it been like? Sorry, Bryce, I know there's something on the tip of your tongue and I keep jumping in faster. You've gone public, right, with sobriety,
Yeah.
which I feel like, others have kind of paved the way for those of us who have done that. But I mean, when you have a big platform like you do, and you're in an industry that you're in, it's a big deal. What's that felt like, and what's the reception been like?
Yeah, it's been, it was a little bit nervous at first, because I've never wanted to be, and even when I'm in our band, like we've never wanted to make music that teaches you anything. Like we're not trying to like persuade you in any way or like sell you something. But we are trying to be honest. And I've taken that approach too with my music. It's like, I don't, you know, I don't want to, everybody has a story. Everybody has a thing that they're working through. And this is what I was working through in the last part of my life. And um, it would be foolish and also a lie to myself to not talk about it, because it really played such a big role in my life and my recovery to get into where I'm at today. There were times when, I would be walking on stage with our band and would have a panic attack, or I would just freeze. And a lot of that's just anxiety. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. And like, did I have too much to drink? Did I not have enough to drink? Did I take the medicine at the wrong time? Or am I just going crazy? What it's like, I just couldn't find myself. And so, um, I felt like in order to be honest with where I'm at today and be okay and cover my skin, I have to um, share it all. And so it's been good. It's like um, it's interesting with like there's not I feel like it's becoming more people are talking about being sober curious like that. I've heard that a
Yeah.
lot, and so people are like they'll ask me, they're like, how's it been? And I'm honest, and like it was tough for a little bit, but it's like the best thing I've ever done. Like I can't recommend it enough. And for me, I was able to like choose it, which is really great. And not everybody has that story, and I'm just thankful that I can share that with. And I've known people in my career that have had really hard time with it, and I like I know firsthand, like I've been there. I know it's so hard, and so it's just been really good to have like conversations with people and, and like help people or we just like, if nothing else, just be like, here's what happened to me. And here's how I went through it. Not because I have any of the answers, but just like, if I can just be myself and talk to people about it and use whatever, whether it's a song or a story to maybe help someone, that to me is, that's why I would, talk about it at all, just to hopefully help somebody.
Man, no, that's amazing. I think that's how you get a song called I Stopped Drinking Yesterday versus a song called You Should Stop Drinking Right Now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think so to close us out, there's somebody who listened to the song or will listen to the song once they hear this episode, and that song will really resonate with them. Like it will really like tick some boxes. There's a guy, I got a friend, and she sent me Jelly Roll's SNL performance, and he's got a couple of songs that like speak to recovery, and she's like, his whole album is like my open talk, and it's just like it really resonates with her. Somebody's gonna hear your song, and it's really gonna resonate with them. What words do you have for that person who can really relate to the experience of the energy that was conveyed in that song?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it goes back to grace, and I would just say like, you know, go easy on yourself. Like we're so quick to judge others, but also, of course, ourselves. The first thing we do probably every day is stand up and look in the mirror, and you're immediately setting yourself up for like a day that if you're not allowing yourself to like look at yourself and be like, you know what, we got this. It's okay. You got this. And like it sounds kind of like, you know, go out there and you can do it, but the truth of it is, like it really, for me, it started with me wanting to do it. Like, I don't know if, I could have stuck with it, at least if I had to start with it as long as I have, if it wouldn't have been just me looking at myself and being like, it's okay. This has been hard. And, but I forgive you. I forget, we can make this. And also to know like that you're not alone, that like, for me, it's been so nice and comforting to like, just to write a song like I stopped drinking yesterday and get people message me all the time. And they're like, I think you wrote this song for me. And I'm like, well, I wrote it for myself. This is my story. He's like, no. I think you wrote it for me. And maybe that did. And that's the coolest thing about what music is. It's like, it's just a tool to communicate. It's a tool to like connect with people. And when it's done like this, and fortunately it would, as tough as it is to talk about some of the stuff that's on this record, it's so rewarding to me to know that somebody might listen to it, one of the songs on the record, and just start talking about it. Like, let's talk about it. Let's see what's up. And so I would say that for anybody that does listen to it, it's like, if it makes you feel a certain way, if you're like, oh man, I resonate with that, talk to someone, talk to a friend, tell somebody about it, and find some connection points, because it's so hard to do life with anything, whether it's trying to stop drinking or drugs or whatever, or just doing life, having kids, whatever, mowing the lawn, all the things. Life is really complicated, and we need people. We need people around us to help us get through it. And so I hope that it is used in that way. I hope people share it with people that, if someone that's like, yeah, I think this person would be encouraged by that. That's why it's there. And I do hope people see themselves in the story. And I'm really proud of the record, and I'm really hopeful that it helps some people as much as writing this stuff has helped me.
Amazing. So say somebody wants to tell you how proud they are of you making this album or want to connect with you, where can they find you, reach out to you, send you love letters of appreciation and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, which is joshlovelacemusic.com. And there's a place there. I get a lot of people writing messages there, which is really cool, and try to connect with people. And then Instagram and Facebook and all those, just Josh Lovelace. And then our band Need to Breathe, NEEDTOBREATHE.com. Yeah, we love connecting with people. That's why we still do it. I would love to, to meet people and then talk through this stuff. It's an honor for me to do that for sure.
Nice.
Well, it's been an honor for us to have you here, and just everything that you're putting out in the world sounds like, it's almost like a love letter of, grace and compassion to yourself, like the things you needed, which ends up being exactly that for other people who hear it, and permission for other people to, love on themselves and the people around them and give themselves grace. And like you said, never have we needed that more. We continue to need more and more of that in the world. So thank you for that and for being here today. It's been really lovely talking to you, Josh.
Of course,
Indeed.
It's been my honor. Thank you
And
all.
thank you all for listening. If you got this far, you are really, really, really a true Rise, Recover, Live listener. And that just shows that we're doing our freaking job. We want to hear what you hear from you and connect with you as always. And so hop in the Phoenix app. When you get in there, go find the Rise, Recover, Live podcast space. And when you get in there, let us know what your favorite songs are right now. Like, what is some of the music? What is some of the soundtrack to your life, to your recovery, to your sobriety, to times of adversity? I know for me, it just really depends. Depends on the day. We could be listening to Carlos Santana, or we could be listening to death metal, scream punk, or we could be listening to Tupac's Changes. It depends on the day and the energy. And now we're going to put Josh Lovelace in a rotation. So let us know what your favorite songs are for this season right now. Come talk to us. Download the app, hop in the podcast space, and come holler at us.
Yeah, and go look for shelters. Go find Josh's work. It's amazing. Share it with a friend.
And we'll catch you next time on the next episode of the Rise, Recover, Live podcast.